Weber.
President, colleagues, I had a look in the European Treaty to see what the task of the European Council is. The task of the Council is to decide on the strategic direction of the European Union, to give some orientation for the continent. If I look at the headlines of the last few days, I must say that doesn't seem to fit, because the Council seems to be creating more confusion than orientation, and that's rather disappointing. Let me go through the different topics. First of all, trade policy. Well, what are the challenges? We've got millions of people out of work, particularly young people on this continent out of work. We want to create jobs, and if we want to do that, we have to create growth. We won't get growth, given our demographic developments, without more trade. The US has completed an Asian trade agreement. Other countries are taking our place. That is the challenge we face. What is the answer? Well, we have basically ended up with the Canadian negotiators throwing in the towel, threatening to travel away. Well, why have we ended up in this situation? That's something that we're also responsible for in the European Parliament. In the last European Council meeting in July, the majority said that we need a mixed agreement and not anything else. What are we going to learn for the future? This is all very disappointing. Topics on Europe have to be answered in the European Parliament and nowhere else. What else have we learned? We've learned that we have to stand up and defend CETA. I want to appeal to the socialists. When I see the Austrian Chancellor's efforts to respond to the Canadians, then I think that we need to work together and try and resolve these problems. And I would like to expressly support the Commission's attempts to get more trade defense and better fair trade as well as free trade. Then on Russia, we clearly have challenges there too. They consider war as a legitimate means of pursuing political goals. There are hundreds dying every day in Aleppo. The Council was supposed to answer this, but this has been a very weak response. We have been discounting the possibility of using instruments that we should use, or should at least not eliminate from the outset. We have instruments. There are elements of our gas provision and other aspects that we could use. It seems that that's the only language that Putin understands. That's the language of strength. So I would like to see more strength from the European Council.
The only positive thing I have to say was probably the statement from Theresa May. Why? Because she shows now to the European public what it means to leave the European Union. People see all over Europe how big the economic damage in Great Britain is already. The people see that Scotland is thinking about leaving Great Britain. The Scottish Prime Minister is rethinking a new referendum. Is rethinking a new referendum in Great Britain, and we have in the leading party, in the Tory party, an ongoing battle between Hammond and Johnson where nobody knows the outcome. So the country is split, and Theresa May shows to the whole European Union that it's better to reform the European Union and not to destroy the European Union. And people more and more recognise what populism means, ladies and gentlemen, because even here in the European Parliament we saw in the last Strasbourg week what populism means. UKIP showed us the true face. One UKIP member punching another UKIP member to hospital. And dear ladies and gentlemen, Herr Weber,
President, Mr. Weber.
Augenblick, Herr Weber. Wenn Sie jetzt mal einen Moment dem Herrn Weber zu Ende zuhören.
If you just let Mr. Weber finish, and if you listen to what he has to say, then I'll give the opportunity to make a point of order afterwards.
Unsere Geschäftsordnung sieht nicht.
The rules are quite clear. The rules do not provide for you having the right to shout down speakers. In this House we have rules. If you want to call a member of this House a disgrace, I suggest you start by looking carefully at your own behaviour here, sir. Mr. Weber, please continue.
I simply want to say that Nigel Farage is not anymore the winner of the referendum. Nigel Farage is fleeing from responsibility, and parts of his troop are behaving as ruffians. That is reality in this House. Dear ladies and gentlemen, ich möchte abschließen.
So just conclude my remarks. CETA. Well, the Commission has put forward a very good result. We in the European Parliament will be able to get a majority behind CETA and implement it. But unfortunately, we've got the European Council in a state of confusion. Trade defence instruments are important for us to defend our citizens in a globalised world, and the Commission has put forward very good proposals. In the European Parliament, we're capable of getting support for these. It's the member states where we've got a problem, where we've got blockades and splits. And then on migration, we've got the similar situation. We've got Dimitris Avramopoulos here. He's put good proposals on the table about how we can respond to the migration crisis for Europe. We in the European Parliament can get good majorities behind those proposals, but it's the Council that can't stop squabbling. It's not a question of a lack of Europe, it's a question of unity. Europe needs unity, decisiveness and leadership. That's what we would like to ask from you, Council. Thank you.
Mr. Weber, the honourable member wants to put a question to you. Mr. Farage, go ahead.
But whilst it's regrettable that two of our MEPs fronted up to each other, there is absolutely no evidence that anybody was punched at all, and I do want that put on the record. However, if you would like to come outside with me, we could have a civilised conversation over a cup of coffee. Thank you. Irresistible.
Herr Weber.
Herr Farage, ich bin...
Well, Mr. Farage, well, I've seen those pictures of your colleague lying on the floor. I don't know if you've seen those pictures. I saw them. I was shocked when I saw that. Those kind of actions in a democratic parliament, just as a result of internal party disputes. Well, I keep hearing more and more reports from Great Britain about EU citizens facing xenophobic comments and attacks. There's more distrust. This is all thanks to your policies. And that's why we're going to struggle to the last against the kind of policies that you stand for, sir.